on YouTube? Today I bring you some non-football content. It's going to be my basketball NBA playoff predictions and award predictions slash basically just what I think would be my awards. There's going to be some background noise, so just go ahead and ignore that. I'm also going to go kind of quick because unfortunately I already recorded this once. It was like a half-hour long video, and then the freaking footage, just had to go and be a bunch of bag of dicks. And so, we're going to be going through the things as we will. So, starting with the West Play-in, I'm going to kind of just like zoom through and then explain why I have winning and who. So, from the first round, I'm going to have the Clippers over the Timberwolves. The Clippers, they've been very well rounded, right, this year. And then you get Paul George back, and I think Kawhi is going to be coming back. Who knows how he looks, but I imagine he'll probably look good. I mean, they were a good team even without their stars, and I'm a big believer in, stars win playoff games. That your team was honestly pretty good despite not having any stars. Like, that's a team that should be a lottery team, and they were the 8th seed. So I have the Clippers beating the Timberwolves here, who are a very talented team. I just don't see them competing with the Clippers in this game. And then I have the Pelicans over the Spurs. Pelicans are a very good team. They're better than the 9th seed. Especially like if they're able to get Zion back, they're winning this game for sure. He hasn't played in a while. I don't know if he's going to be coming back for it'll be tomorrow when this video comes out, most likely tomorrow or either in a couple days. And the Spurs, it's like they're solid, right? Like DeJounte Murray took a nice step this year and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just not on the same level as the Pelicans. So I got the Pelicans winning. Clippers take the 7th seed. So then we got the Timberwolves and the Pelicans battling it out for the 8th seed. And at the end of the day, both are very talented teams, but the Timberwolves have a bit more experience. I like Cat and Ant as a duo better than Zion if he's even there, but Zion and Ingram, both talented teams, both young, solid teams, but I think I have the Timberwolves over the Pelicans. So nothing really changes. Well, I mean, okay, obviously something big changes, right? The Clippers and the Timberwolves swap spots here with the 7 and 8 seed, but as far as who's making it, nope, nothing's really changing here. In the East, first round, I have the Nets beating the Cavaliers. Nets are just simply, they're a good team, right? Like, they've had issues with Harden and Simmons and Kyrie and KD this year, but KD's healthy. Kyrie's able to play. That's a really good duo. It's better than the Cavs. They just don't have star power. Like, they have a very good, young, balanced team and everything, but they don't have that star power. Like I just said, I think the Nets take that one. And then the Hawks over the Hornets, because at the end of the day, both these teams have one really good player with a lot of solid depth behind that. Like, obviously you got Miles Bridges, you got John Collins, Clint Capella, but they're not on the same level as the other guys. So really, if it has to come down to Trae Young and LaMelo, I'm taking Trae Young, especially if he pops off like he did last year. I mean, if Trae plays like last year, they probably are making the playoffs, right? Because he went off and they showed that they can make a run. I think that's definitely possible again. So I got him beating the Hornets here. But unfortunately, the Hawks run is going to stop in the play-in. I don't see them beating the Cavs. Trae Young's great, but I just don't think by himself he's able to beat the Cavs, who have some great pieces, right? Kevin Love, maybe the 6th man of the year. Evan Mobley, maybe the rookie of the year. Darius Garland, maybe the most improved of the year, right? I mean, they've got so much going for them. They're a great, young, solid team. I just don't think Trae Young can quite keep up with it. Especially in Cleveland. I'm going to take the Cavaliers, so nothing changes here in the East. So moving on to the actual playoffs themselves, we got the bracket here. After the first round, I have the Suns over the Timberwolves, and I know there's probably some picks here you're going to see and you think, you know what, but I'll get to all of them. I got the Suns over the Timberwolves here. At the end of the day, Timberwolves, they're just not built to compete with the Suns. They've been the best team in basketball this year. They're on another level. They've played great even without their stars. The Timberwolves are a good young team that will have success in the future. It's just not this year. If Luka comes back, which I expect him to, right? You're not playing until Saturday or Sunday. I don't think his injury is going to be a big deal at the end of the day. They're going to win the series if they have Luka. They've been really good. The Jazz have been really bad recently. The Jazz, they're just not clicking. Donovan Mitchell's just not able to do it by himself. Rudy Gobert needs some help defensively. Jordan Clarkson's a solid 6th man, but it's just not enough to keep up with Luka. Spencer Dinwiddie's been great, this year for the Mavericks. So while he doesn't have any stars, Luka is in MVP conversation because he's been that good. If they don't have Luka, I honestly still think that they probably win in the end. So I got the Mavs moving on here. Now, yeah, definitely a hot take. I do have the Nuggets over the Warriors, and there's a few reasons for this. Number one, the Nuggets have been very good against the Warriors this year. They're 3-1 against them. You're also going to be facing a Warriors team that probably won't have Steph Curry, definitely won't have him for the start of the playoffs. And if they do have him, he's going to be hurt. Now, if you're the Nuggets, you're probably going to have Jamal Murray because Michael Porter Jr. is not coming back this playoffs. What I've seen is that Jamal Murray is ready to come back physically. It's just a mental thing. And it's hard to, not play a year and then come back in the playoffs against a good team, right? That's difficult. I think he'll be back for the series. And so, you've already got a Nuggets team that's never lost in the first round with Jokic. And speaking of Jokic, the dude's probably at his peak right now. And his peak is legitimately, it's very, very talented. And we got to understand that the fact that the Nuggets were able to do what they did this year with just Jokic, just a center, it's very impressive. And I don't care if Jamal is not as good as he used to be. The presence of him in general is great to have. Because the issue with the Nuggets against the Suns last year was they could just focus all their attention on Jokic and there was nobody else. Because it wasn't just Jamal Murray that was hurt last year. They had a lot of injuries. But besides Michael Porter Jr., and maybe Jamal's not 100%, the Nuggets are healthy otherwise. So at the end of the day, when you're a Warriors team that you're either going to have no Steph or a hurt Steph, James Wiseman's still out, Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole are your main guys at that point. Draymond Green, he's a good defender and everything, but those are your guys, right? Versus Jokic, who is playing at just such a phenomenal level. Again, the Nuggets have already been good against you this year when you had Steph. So now that you don't have Steph, you're going to get Jamal Murray back most likely. I got the Nuggets over the Warriors here. And then I got the Clippers over the Grizzlies. Fact of the matter is that the Clippers are just way more experienced. The Grizzlies were great this year, right? They were great with Ja. They were great without Ja. But the Clippers are going to be a dangerous team if they get Kawhi back, and especially if he plays good. Paul George is playing great right now. The team is playing good. I see him beating the Grizzlies, to be honest. Without Kawhi, maybe not, but especially if they get him back, I see them over the Grizzlies. They're more experienced. They've been here. They've done it. I just think they're the better team, and I don't think the Grizzlies are built to compete with them. I got the Heat over the Cavaliers. It's just not much of a competition, in my opinion. They're similar teams in the right of neither one has a superstar, but they're both built to be very balanced, good teams. Except the Heat are just pretty much better at every single level: coaching, offense, defense, players in general. They're just better at all of it than the Cavaliers. So it's not really a competition. Maybe the Cavs win one game, but I got the Heat going on. Then maybe also the other hot take, but I don't think it's a hot take at all, actually, really. It shouldn't be. I got the Raptors over the Sixers. Firstly, the Sixers choke in the first round every year. You know this. Secondly, the Raptors have been good against the Sixers this year. They're 3-1, and they've shown that they can somewhat slow down Embiid, which is not good, especially considering that James Harden is known for being pretty garbage in the playoffs. So I don't expect him to be doing much. Even worse, if you slow down Embiid, you can't even rely on your three with Matisse Thybulle now because guess what? He's not vaccinated, and Canada still has the vaccination requirement. So Thybulle's not playing. Harden's trash in the playoffs, and he's trash in the regular season apparently now too. And you're going to slow down Embiid? I don't see any way that they're going to beat the Raptors in a 7-game series there. I got the Raptors over the Sixers in that one. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks sweep the Bulls, to be honest. The Bulls, they've not been that great offensively, especially at the end of the season. They've not been that great defensively. And you lost Lonzo Ball, who was maybe your best defensive player. You haven't been good against good teams. You haven't been good on the road. And you're playing the Bucks in the first round on majority Milwaukee court. Yeah, the Bulls, they were the fluke. They're the Steelers of the NBA this year. I mean, Bucks are moving on pretty easily for me. And then I got the Nets over the Celtics. If Robert Williams was playing, I would have the Celtics. The issue is Robert Williams is not playing. He was the backbone of that number one defense. And unfortunately, though Marcus Smart has been good, that defense runs through Robert Williams. And if you take away the Celtics' elite defense, all of a sudden you've got a team that's very vulnerable because who's going to stop Kevin Durant? You're already going to have an issue with Kyrie Irving, right? Because Marcus Smart, he's a good defender. He's not going to stop Kyrie. And now without Robert Williams, you can't stop KD either. Sure, you're going to get high-scoring games. It's going to be a great series. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to play great. But I don't see them stopping Kevin Durant. He's just one of those guys where when it matters most, he gets it done. So I got the Nets in the upset over the Celtics. Then moving on, I have the Suns over the Mavericks. I just don't see that much of a competition. Unfortunately, Lucas seems to have a curse of losing in the second round this year to the Suns at least instead of the Clippers. Um, Again, they're just not built to handle it. It's Luca and pretty much no one else against Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton. I just don't see him being able to keep up with that. Again, I think maybe he wins one or two, but the Suns are just so freaking good this year that I just see them rolling through the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. It's a pretty easy stretch for them, to be honest. And then you have the Nuggets over the Clippers. And again, the reason here for me is they already beat the Clippers in a playoff series against PG and Kawhi. Mind you, when Kawhi was healthy, when they came back down 3-1. And the thing is that the team is definitely better. Like, it's better in a lot of rights. Not having Michael Porter Jr. is no effect because when they first played the Clippers that year, Michael Porter Jr. was a rookie. And so, he was kind of starting to become a starter, but like, he wasn't that much of an effect. So you got a better team overall against the Clippers, who pretty much have the same team. And then you take into account that Jokic is far, far better than he was a few years ago. Like, he's having an amazing season right now. He just won MVP last year, but the year before that, like, he wasn't, that level of player. So you take a Nuggets team that's gotten better. Losing Michael Porter Jr. has no effect compared to the last time they played him. The Sixers are similar in a lot of rights because even back then it was a very balanced team with Kawhi and Paul George. It's the same thing now, except I think a little bit worse, to be honest, because Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell were very good players. Montrezl Harrell might still be there, I'm not sure. I haven't heard his name in a while. But, I just think at the end of the day, the Nuggets, they've got home court advantage. They have a better team than they did. Jokic is better than he was. And the Clippers are pretty much the same. And again, if you're taking into account that Kawhi is going to be kind of hurt, right? Maybe he's not. I don't know. Maybe he's 100%. And maybe Jamal Murray's 100%. Who knows? Maybe one's hurt, one's not. If it's just Jokic versus Paul George, I'm going to take Jokic. So I got the Nuggets moving on. Heat, Raptors. Raptors have a lot of advantages over the Sixers, right? Thibault can't play. They can slow down Embiid. They've shown that they're good against the Sixers. James Harden sucks in the playoffs. The Heat, on the other hand, were the best team in the East for a reason. They have a lot of great players. They're very balanced, a very good coach. They're not going to have all those advantages against the Heat. They also, they're not going to have the same type of stuff. So I got the Heat moving on. They were the number one seed for a reason. But they are, it's going to be a good series still, though. And then easily the best series of all these, second round is the Bucks and the Nets because it's a rematch. Obviously it's Giannis versus KD. I mean, that's fun anytime, you get a series like that. And it's kind of tough to decide who to go with, because the Nets were close to beating the Bucks. I mean, they were really just a Kevin Durant big toe away from beating them, right? But at the same time, like, I get that, Kyrie and James were hurt in that series, but like, I'd still rather have a hurt James Harden than no James Harden. You replaced him with Ben Simmons, who's not going to play in the playoffs. Like, there's just no way he's going to come back for the playoffs. That's way too much pressure for him. It'd break his brain. It's basically one less superstar against a team that's, for the most part, the same, except Giannis is even better than he was, which is crazy to say because he was amazing last year, but he is. So it's tough, but I think with the home court advantage, the fact that the Bucks have done it, right? They just won the championship. The Nets still can't. You replace James Harden with Ben Simmons, you're not even going to get anything out of Ben Simmons. KD's great. I think it'll be a great series, but I got Giannis winning it. And so then for this right here, I'm not going to go over the conference championships until after the awards. I can't talk right now. So let's go over the awards really quick. My executive of the year is going to be Zachary Kleeman. I think that's how you say it. The Grizzlies GM, going from the 8th seed to the 2 seed compared to last year. He's helped build a very good, deep team around Ja Morant. He didn't draft him, but he helped put together a great team that sustained a lot of success even without Ja on the court this year. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And from what I've seen, he's very respected. He's very professional. He's a very smart guy, apparently. So for me, I think this is the executive of the year. Brad Stevens and James Jones are close. James Jones won it last year. I don't think they really made any big changes though, as far as a team, to like be better. They just were better this year. And Brad Stevens, he was a great replacement there. He's definitely part of why they're doing good right now. But he's in consideration. But for me, it is going to be the Grizzlies GM. My coach of the year pretty easily is going to be Monty Williams. And you'll get that, right? When you have a 64-win season, which is a top 30 record of all time. A lot of people thought that the Suns were a fluke after their run last year, and it just was not. They only got better. And despite the fact that DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul have not played chunks of time this season, they still won more than 60 games. I mean, they were the only team that had more than like 50, I want to say 54 wins or something like that. No other team came close to 60, and they had 64. So, and Monty Williams is definitely a huge reason, in my opinion, the main reason why. I'd love to see him win it. I think he very easily deserves to. Ime Udoka and Taylor Jenkins, big reasons why their teams have been successful as well this year. But Monty Williams has definitely been the best coach this year, and honestly might be the best coach in basketball right now. My sixth man of the year is going to be Tyler Hero. Kevin Love definitely has an argument. Jordan Clarkson has also been good this year after winning it last year. But for me, the runaway guy is Tyler Hero here. A lot of people thought he was going to be like a breakout superstar, after the bubble and stuff. And I think that put unfair expectations because he kind of disappointed the following year. But then once I think people kind of reset their expectations, and, he came off the bench and stuff, he played very, very, very well. I think that's kind of what his role is, right? I think that's just his role, but he's really good at it. And I think it's worth the sixth man of the year this year. Played very good, shot very well, just added a lot of it to the team coming off the bench. So Tyler Hero, for me, is the sixth man of the year. The most improved player is going to be Ja Morant. DeJounte Murray, he has a case for it, but it's really expected. When you become the number one on the team, your stats should improve. And I don't think they were that impressive to win over Ja. Miles Bridges, if he would have kept up how he started the season off, I think he probably would have won it, but he got really cold after the second half. As with Ja, his team played great without him on the court. But when he himself was playing, he was putting up, I know it's the comparison everyone makes, but Derrick Rose MVP numbers, because he basically is Derrick Rose, and it's impressive. He got better in a lot of ways this year. He's shooting very well, a lot of points. He's just a very good player, and he definitely still helped. He's a big reason at the end of the day still, despite them being good without him, that the Grizzlies got the 2 seed. For me, he's the most improved player. My rookie of the year is going to be Evan Mobley. Cade, it's kind of tough, right? Because there weren't a lot of great rookies this year. A few honorable mentions, definitely like Jalen Green got really good at the end of the season. Herb Jones on Pelicans, very good defensively. But Cade, he was good. I don't think he lived up to expectations in his first year, but he was good. Scotty Barnes definitely contributed to Toronto. The 5 seed for a reason. He himself has been good. But for me, Evan Mobley is the rookie of the year, just playing very impressive for a rookie big man. There's an argument to be made that he's the best player on the Cavs right now, which may not be the most impressive thing to say for some, but being the best player on any team is an accomplishment, especially for a rookie. So Evan Mobley, he played very good this year. He's my rookie of the year. My defensive player of the year is going to be Bam Adebayo. Robert Williams plays for Boston, not Charlotte. Don't know why it says that. But Robert Williams, definitely in the conversation. Like I said, he's the backbone of that Celtics defense. He's so important that I don't think they're going to win in the first round because he's out. And Mikal Bridges, also very good. He brings a lot of value. He's a great reason why the Suns were so good this year. But my defensive player of the year is going to be Bam Adebayo. He's just simply very good, and I think really what puts him over the top for me is he plays on a very similar level defensively. Like, you can make a case that Robert Williams and Mikal Bridges are better defensively, but Bam plays pretty much the same and also gives you honestly good offensive production for a defensive player. He really can just do it all. I think he's played great this year, and he definitely deserves to win it. Marcus Smart's like the odds-on favorite for some reason. I don't quite get why. I think Robert Williams is definitely more valuable than him. He's in the conversation for sure. He's top 5. He's probably my 5 or 6. But, for me, it's Bam Adebayo, though. And, if you thought I was biased maybe for having the Nuggets in the conference championship, you might call me biased now, but I don't really think I'm biased at all for saying that Nikola Jokic is the MVP. At the end of the day, he's having an amazing season. He's having one of the best seasons by a big man ever. He's putting up fantastic stats in general, right? Just normal stats. He's leading the league in a lot. He's shooting almost 60%. He's leading in almost every single advanced stat, which I don't care if you want to call those stupid or not. Like, you can just sit there and say, like, oh, well, Jokic doesn't look as good as Embiid and Giannis, and sure, that might be true, but that doesn't mean he's not the most valuable. I think that's just proven by the fact that he literally had the highest PER in any season ever this year. I don't think people really understand how impressive that is. I mean, that's taking into account literally everything: points, shooting percentage, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, defensive, all that stuff. Technically, he had the best season ever played this year. Um, I don't think there's an argument against him. Because if you want to say, oh, 6 seeds don't win MVP, well, if you combine the two conferences, sure, he might be the 7th, 8th seed, but that he only had 2 less wins than Embiid and 3 less than Giannis. I don't care if they're in a, quote, tougher division, that doesn't change the schedules. At the end of the day, he won 3 less games with way less help. Because, sure, James Harden can suck sometimes. Matisse Thybulle's not that great. Jrue Holiday's not that great. And Chris Middleton wasn't that great this year. They're all better than literally any other player that has played on the Nuggets this year other than Jokic. The idea that Jokic isn't a top 5 center, he's a backup on other teams. I've seen people seriously say this. To me, it's just stupid. I think it's bullcrap. And Jokic for me is pretty easily the MVP. Like, yeah, Giannis and Joel are definitely in the conversation. Luka's definitely in the conversation. But for me, I don't think it's a debate. Nikola Jokic is the MVP. But moving on to Jokic in the Western Conference Finals in my predictions, I don't think he wins that. And I don't think the Heat win either. I have a repeat of last year's finals, which is weird, but it is what it is. With the Suns, again, it's just they've been so good this year. They're the best team in basketball. The Nuggets, I'm sure they'll play great. They'll put up a fight. Jokic is the MVP. Jamal, maybe he's going full blast, and they give him a good series, but the Suns are just too good this year. Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Devin Booker is an MVP candidate. If he played the full season, Chris Paul would be an MVP candidate. Monty Williams is the Coach of the Year. They've got a great team. They've got such a great team. And then you look at the Bucks, where, yeah, some other players haven't played up to par necessarily this year, but that didn't matter because Giannis was just so freaking good that they still maintained the 3rd seed in a very tough East. If anything, Giannis got better than last year. And like I said, he has a legit argument to be MVP. He might be MVP. I think it's Jokic, but he might be. And, at the end of the day, that's just impressive. And the Heat might have a more balanced team, but they just don't have a guy on Giannis's level. And I think the Bucks at this point, they've done it, right? They had that hump that they had to get over to win the chip and prove that they could do it. And now that they've done it, there's not that pressure to keep getting past each round. It's just, let's go win the chip again. There's not that pressure. Giannis is even better. Hopefully Middleton can heat up in the playoffs again, but for me, these are the 2 best teams in basketball right now. And while I don't think Giannis is the most valuable player, because when I think of most valuable, it's if you took this player off the team, how good would the team be? Well, the Nuggets would probably be the worst team in the league. I mean, honestly, less than 20 wins without Jokic this year. And the Bucks would probably still be in the playoffs. So while I think Jokic is the MVP, for me personally, I think Giannis is the best player in the world right now, especially since he can shoot now. So I do have a repeat of the finals, and I mean, obviously this would be a great series again. I think the Suns will put up an even better fight than last time because Giannis is great, right? He's even better, but they know what he can do, and they're going to be ready for him, and they're going to be game planning. And Monty Williams is such a good coach that he's going to come up with a game plan to beat the Bucks and get the Suns their first NBA championship ever. At the end of the day, the team is just too good. Monty Williams is the best coach in the league right now. You have 2 potential MVP candidates. Chris Paul, if he had played the entire season. DeAndre Ayton, a top 5 center. Mikal Bridges, a top 5 defender. Some fantastic depth. In my opinion, I think given what they know now about Giannis, that they've made it there and they want to win it this time. That they know what it takes. I think the Suns are the best team in basketball. I think they're going to get it done this year. And I got the Suns winning the 2022 NBA Finals. But that's going to be my predictions. If you guys want to let me know about your predictions, go ahead and put them in the comments down below. I watch basketball. I know a decent amount about it. Not quite football, but if you want to see more basketball videos, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.